So on this episode of Photoshop Commandos, we are going to be working with Photoshop to Final Cut. And we're going to be kind of working with Illustrator too. But if you're working with Photoshop, you're working with Illustrator, and if you're not, you're a dummy. So as some of you know, I'm an independent filmmaker as well, and I'm currently working on some music videos, one of which is for the fabulous Miss Wendy for Not Dead Yet. For Not Dead Yet Records.
I'm not dead!
Yeah, he says he's not dead. Yes, he is.
I'm not!
That's it. With my Photoshop skills, I was able to enhance my Final Cut experience. So here, what you're seeing is I have a Illustrator file for a logo that I did for the fabulous Miss Wendy. And what I did is I just took a pre-existing font, I outlined that font, I turned them into shapes, and then I tweaked the shapes to fit my needs. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, didn't need to reinvent the wheel, so it's okay for me to remix pre-existing fonts. Once I got a logo that I'm happy with, I import that into Photoshop, and then I start to have my color font. And here what I do is I just separate the text and expand it. I add different colors, and I'm just stacking it as I go because the layers can be imported to Final Cut. So I have my work file, and I'm doing all my tricks and finding my colors and stacking them. And then once I'm happy with that, I save that, and then I get rid of all the extra work aspects of the file, like alpha channels, extra layers, text layers. I keep it real simple, and I combine some of the color combinations. I don't need to import every colored layer, but I could do every combination of colors, and make sure it's saved in RGB, because Final Cut will not recognize CMYK. So once you do that, I save it as a different file just for my import. So I have my work file, and then I have my import file. I import that file into Final Cut by just clicking and dragging it into an event folder. Now, an event folder is where you drag all your master content that you're going to pull from for your project, which is at the bottom. And the project is that timeline looking thing. Well, that's what it is. It's a timeline. And when you drop content into that timeline, it takes a chunk of time, and it represents itself using a little like thumbnail icon, so you can see what it is you're working with. It's a very intuitive program, very easy to learn, considering that I've been working with iMovie only, like the amateur I am, for a long time, and now I've made the leap into big boy territory, and big boys are all pissed off about this new interface, the Final Cut interface, but I really like it. It works for me, so I'm just going to keep rolling with it, and it loves Photoshop. So they all talk together. The only thing I need to learn now is After Effects, and then it's on. Here I have my Photoshop file, and if you click on it, it will open it in a project timeline. That's not your project, that's just the timeline for that clip that you double-clicked on. You can pull from that and put it in your timeline, and then once I pull from that, put it in my timeline, I can shrink the size, the width of each of those clips that are stacked on each other. And just like Photoshop, the Final Cut files will import stacked on top of each other. Whatever's on the top is what you see through the viewer's eyes. So you can shrink the duration of each of those clips to kind of create the illusion of animation. Well, I mean, it's not really illusion, that's what animation is. It's framework and the timing and how fast and how slow. And in this case, it's very, it's just kind of like blinking party lights. So I got it kind of easy. But that's why I did it, because I felt like it's an easy example for everybody to kind of learn from and to roll with. So once I have this blinking light effect that I like, I can combine these into compound clips, which are much like group layers in Photoshop. You group a bunch of layers into one clip, and then you can start adding effects that will affect all of those clips instead of having to individually affect each layer. Just group it and then drop effects. And effects are easy. It's a click and drag world. I love it. You just load in cool effects, you click and drag them. Alright, and anything that you load into that clip will be loaded into what they're calling the inspector. And the inspector, there's the inspector. No, there's the inspector. The inspector has all these different ways of creating a more dynamic experience. You can tweak the color infinitely. I love the level control, saturation control. I love the color control. And that is such a powerful tool in and of itself. But if you go further into it, you can even transform it, you can distort the layers, you can split screen, add more effects, just keep adding more effects, and they'll load infinitely into the inspector. It's really a fun dynamic program. And I salute Final Cut for their next evolutionary step to making things easier for everybody to have fun and still have a level of quality that will compete with the big boys. So, because it is the big boys. Final Cut is the big boys. Once you drag in these clips, then you can change the speed, you can stack them on top of each other, you can transform them, you can tweak the color more, so it creates more animation in the animation. So it's not just a one-dimensional, here's a clip, or here's a graphic, here's a color shift, and here's one little texture on top of it. You can really make it look all, you know, I don't know, sci-fi. So once you're done stacking them, and you know, you just, you know, keep repeating it, you know, just keep repeating it, and got a few seconds of animation. That's all I really needed. I'm not trying to make a movie here. I'm just trying to make my title card just a little bit more interesting. So you add just a little bit more effort into it, and you know, your production value goes way up real quick, and your clients are happy, and they come back, and they might take you out to lunch. They might thank you. It's novel. They might pay you again. That's what you're looking for, you know. So that's my lesson. I hope you got something out of it. If you didn't, you probably weren't paying attention. And if you were paying attention and still didn't get anything out of it and have some really good questions, feel free to contact me at snakebitecortez.com. And yeah, go out for a walk now.
You think I'll go for a walk?
You're not fooling anyone, you know.
Hydrate yourself. Drink a big glass of water. You know?
Getting better.
No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Eat a salad. Saved my life.
I don't want to go on the car.
Oh, don't be such a baby. I can't take him.
Alright.